So, good morning. Happy January 4. Hope all is well. And a big shout out to everybody who's been watching and visiting my channel. It's been amazing. So here we are, our 10 o'clock Tuesday meeting. So welcome to the stream. Today is National Trivia Day. And I want to ask a question and see if anybody can get it. And this woman in history is the subject of a biography called Don't Ride the Bus on Monday. Again, this woman in history is the subject of a biography called Don't Ride the Bus on Monday. Who is that person? It's pretty simple. It's pretty profound. But anyway, that's the question of the day. Don't Ride the Bus on Monday. That was a memoir this person wrote. So who wrote that memoir? So that's the question of the day. So it's National Trivia Day. And one of the things I wanted to do was to talk about movies that were my movies in the year I was born. So how about that? That's pretty wild. So we're gonna look at those. We're gonna look at 25 movies that were made in 1957, which is weird to think of that I was born in 1957, considering it's 2022, 64 years ago. Should be, well, it'll be 65 in December. So it does add up. Just in case you're wondering, it does add up. So, movies in 1957. God, that seems like ancient. Now, my dad served in World War II, just like most of the pops who kids were born in the 50s, World War II. Now, here's the thing. These guys were informed by what? They were informed by the war, and they were also informed by post-war media. So my dad and mom were influenced because they had two kids by the time they had me in 57. So they were going to the movies, right? They're going to the movies and they're seeing Throne of Blood. A war-hardened general, egged on by his ambitious wife, works to fulfill a prophecy that he would become Lord of Spiderweb's castle. Now, this is a Japanese movie made in 57, 13 years or 12 years after the war. So that's informing them. Now they're raising kids in the 60s. So you could see how kids growing up in the 60s in Japan are totally pacifist because their parents are informed and they're teaching on this. Now, next movie. And I was blown away to find out that this movie was made in 1957. Bridge on the River Kwai. Now, I know this movie. I saw this movie. I enjoyed this movie. This movie was nuts. This movie was so intense, and people who believed in the state ended up being the fools. And people who played outside the lines tended to be the heroes. And boy, does that inform how people raise their children. Because Alec Guinness turned out to be a dope. He didn't realize he was a dope until the end. He was towing the company line, even as a prisoner, up until the very end. Isn't that amazing? That's crazy. So parents are teaching kids based upon this stuff. 12 Angry Men, my all-time favorite movie. That movie was filmed basically in one long scene by Sidney Lumet. If you haven't seen 12 Angry Men, go watch it. That movie is it's a cinema tour de force. It's 12 actors acting. It's so classic, and it's done in one take with Henry Fonda and Lee J. Cobb, Martin Balsam. You got to go see that movie. That movie is incredible. The Incredible Shrinking Man. This movie was scarier than heck, because at the end, Scott goes into the infinity, shrinks down to the infinitely small. It's crazy. It's so mind-boggling. And again, 1957. What was the world thinking? Like it was going to be over, right? So they make movies like this. Witness for the Prosecution, 116 minutes. I dare say they could never make a movie like Witness for the Prosecution in 116 minutes. Nowadays. That movie is, you got to go see that one. That movie's nuts. A Face in the Crowd. If Elia Kazan, Andy Griffith, Patricia Neal. You got to see Patricia Neal. Walter Matthau and a very young Tony Franciosa. Now anybody my age would know those names. Maybe not know the movie, because this is deep. This is this is like naval contemplation for the 50s. A Face in the Crowd. That's hardcore. That's the rock and roll world taking over. It's so much change going on in A Face in the Crowd. So you got to go see that. The Sweet Smell of Success. This movie will have you in tears at the end. You will love Tony Curtis. You will love J.J. Hunsaker, Burt Lancaster. You will see acting like will blow your freaking mind, and you will see backstory that today is so reminiscent. And you wonder, man, they got it then in this movie about the press. 96 minutes. This is a 90-minute movie. It's incredible. The movie's off the chain. Paths of Glory. Stanley Kubrick, Kirk Douglas, the ultimate anti-war film. Paths of Glory. It's brutal. It's probably the post-World War II movie that says war is not fun. The Noose. This is an internal, scary reveal. This guy wants to kill himself. He's a drunk. He's trying not to be. Trying not to. Now, I never saw Eroica, but it's 2 sketches, and it's Italian, or it's at least it's European. So it's a comedy. So I would like to see that. Now, Wild Strawberries I have seen. That's a 90-minute movie. Again, a 90-minute movie. 90 minutes. Wild Strawberries. Yeah, this is 1957. The Seventh Seal. Ingmar Bergman is off the chain in 57, right? Knights of Cabiria. A waifish prostitute wanders the streets of Rome looking but only finds heartbreak. I saw this movie. This movie has the worst assault scene that you can imagine. It's dark. Do not recommend watching it alone or at the end of the day. It's hard. Love in the Afternoon. Don't know it. Billy Wilder, Gary Cooper, Audrey Hepburn, Maurice Chevalier, John MacGyver. Classic stars at the end of careers making a movie with Billy Wilder. Now, these guys all make movies in the 30s and 40s, so this is 57. It'd be interesting to see that one. And Affair to Remember. Anybody I know loves Cary Grant and Deborah Carr. So they know this movie. And it's a tragedy because they don't meet. It's tough. The 310 to Yuma, they remade this. This is the original. You got to go see it. It'll blow your socks off. The Lower Depths, I don't know. In a Japanese slum, various residents play out their lives, dreaming of better things or settling for their lot. Wow, The Lower Depths. Now, the Koreans just made a movie. Parasite? So this is the first one. This is Lower Depths in 57. So if you look at this one and then go see Parasite, you can see none of this stuff is created new, right? These themes are old. Gunfight at the OK Corral. This is the movie in 57 that they would send on USO tours to the troops in Vietnam when they would watch movie night. Okay? Gunfight at the OK Corral. Okay? Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas, It's classic, but I don't know why they would show it to the troops, because the troops are all young. You know, it's a western, I guess. Edge of the City. I don't know this one. John Cassavetes, Sidney Poitier, Jack Warden. Oh, well, there you go. John Cassavetes and Sidney Poitier and Jack Warden. Now, this is a race movie. So obviously the two longshoremen are friends. That's Cassavetes and Sidney Poitier and Jack Warden. Or maybe Jack Warden and Sidney Poitier are the friends, and John Cassavetes is the punk. Because this is 57. John Cassavetes would have been starting his acting career with United Artists and Elia Kazan and all those folks. Funny Face, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire. I don't know it, but I know a lot of folks loved this when it came out. It's touching, it's warm. It's Deborah Carr. No, excuse me, it's Audrey Hepburn, which is even better. So I don't know. Some folks know that one real well. I don't know it. Audrey Hepburn and Fred Astaire. I don't know that one. Sayonara, U.S. This is Marlon Brando. Because check this out. Marlon Brando's going to marry a Japanese woman. This is post-war Japan. The movie takes place like early 50s, made in 1957, so they're only looking back a little bit. And he is going to marry a Japanese woman. He's in love with her. And then all the shit that happens, all the stuff that happens because, you know, the racism in the U.S. Army and the U.S. in general. So it's pretty wild. It's Sayonara, 57. So we've got two movies in this. In fact, all these movies in 1957 say if you follow the company line, you're going to get rooked. And everybody trying to do something different has challenge. You know, it's incredible. The Tin Star. This is Tony Perkins coming off of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, okay? And he wants to do something different. Either that or this is before Psycho. So this would have been probably Tony Perkins before Psycho, because it's 57. We don't have Psycho in the list. So I would have to find out when Psycho, but see, unfortunately, Anthony Perkins got typecast after Psycho as a nutcase. In every movie he played subsequent to that, he was a little off. So it was tough for Tony Perkins. Even Fear Strikes Out with the Jimmy Pearsall story. That was Tony Perkins, Anthony Perkins, who had to play that. Men in War, Robert Ryan, Aldo Ray. So we have an Hispanic, and we got Robert Ryan, who's classic. He played in Hang 'em High. No, he didn't play in Hang 'em High. What was that? Yeah, Hang 'em High. No, that was... No. He played in a movie chasing a bunch of guys led by William Holden and Ernie Borgnine. And they sold guns to the banditos, and they'd gone off the rails. And I can't remember that movie. But he played in that. Robert Ryan was the guy chasing them. But anyway, he's a heavy in this one. He's a lieutenant. Eva Wants to Sleep. Check this movie out. This is 1957. Young woman arrives in a new city and can't find a place to sleep, so she stays up all night, and that's the movie. I gotta go see that. It came out in 57, but was done in 50, it was made in 57. It came out in 58. Old Yeller. Who didn't cry at Old Yeller? Okay, Old Yeller. Old Yeller. 1957. Now that has to have informed my parents. You know what I'm saying? That has to have informed my parents. You think? Do you think that informed my parents? We ended up getting a dog. We ended up getting, what, 3 dogs in my childhood? And all of them got passed on to some other family. Old Yeller. Don't watch it, you end up crying. The Prince and the Showgirl. An American showgirl becomes entangled in political intrigue. Wait, why isn't that not moving? Do I have a problem here? Oh, there we go. The Prince and the Showgirl. An American showgirl becomes entangled in political intrigue. How about that? Political intrigue. Oh, and I have a poll up right now, if in case you're wondering what that bar is. 1957 movie Bridge Over the River Kwai better than any made the year you were born. Yes, but my movie reached more people. No, but my movie was cooler anyway. You old son of a gun. I will name the title, in my opinion, better than Bridge Over the River Kwai. It was okay, but I was too young, never saw it. So that's the poll question of the day. So you can check that out. The Prince and the Showgirl. Marilyn Monroe. Laurence Olivier. How do we not know about a 1957 Marilyn Monroe? She was in her prime. Let's see. It happened. Oh, geez. I can't remember the other movie. Oh, God. Where the wind blows up her skirt. Can't remember that one. But anyway, The Prince and the Showgirl. 115 minutes, 6.5 rating. Interesting. Laurence Olivier directed this. I almost have to watch that just because of that. The Sun Also Rises. Now, this is horrible because this is Ernest Hemingway, okay? And Tyrone Power and Ava Gardner and Errol Flynn and Mel Ferrar are supposed to be the expats of the 20s. So you have Gertrude Stein, you have Hemingway, you have, the guy who wrote Fitzgerald, or F. Scott Fitzgerald, he's over there too. They're all over there. So these folks are playing interpretations of that as written by Hemingway. And it deviates from the book mightily. And there's a war in there too. And this one I do not know. Compels Pana Anatola, 1957. Anatol Kowalski is an old man who works in a bank and loves his old-fashioned hat. One day the hat gets lost and Anatol decides to buy a new one. This new unique hat will bring him a lot of... What's it going to bring him? A lot of... Probably trouble. Unexpected adventures. The next day when he travels by bus to work, his friend finds a watch in his pocket. And Anatol will soon realize that the local gang has mistaken him for their boss. Oh, that sounds like a classic European movie from the 50s. You know, doing something counter to get in front of the American audience. So how about that? Those are, that's trivia for you, 25 movies made in 1957. Bridge Over the River Kwai, 12 Angry Men, Incredible Shrinking Man, Witness for the Prosecution, Face in the Crowd, Sweet Smell of Success. Those first 7. Go to Criterion, watch those 7 movies, and then look at today's movie making. You'll be blown away. You'll be blown away. So just on the surface, okay? So on the surface, we can probably understand why some folks my age are in a tunnel. And I would suggest that they were not part of the zeitgeist of America that saw these movies, that went to these movies. Because these movies informed the politics and the policy of the 60s to try and come off the edge of being so dickish, right? And our media kept saying, hey, you know what, there's something else going on, something else going on, something else going on. And the movies started to develop. So not more than 10 years, or less than 10 years later, you have Easy Rider, right? So if you go from The Sweet Smell of Success to Easy Rider in 10 years, the country is changing, right? And for some reason, it seems like none of us remember that, or we seem to think like we just are here, and from this moment, everything I don't know is history, and from this moment, everything in the future is yet to be done. But that's not That's not how this whole thing works. We're all building up. We're all legacy. We're all like building games, right? We're all like 4X games. We started and maybe we stopped and we went back to it and we built some more and we had some setbacks and we stopped, but we never got rid of the save. We went back to that save game and kept going at it. That's kind of like the life. So anyway, I don't know, these 25 movies influenced how my generation was raised. And if your parents saw these first 7, I'm suggesting that you're a moderate or you're a lefty or a progressive. You kind of get it, you know. You kind of get like playing the company line is you're a chump, and extending a helping hand and being contemplative about all your decisions is the way to be. That's what those movies said. Okay, so maybe some of these themes weren't hit by our parents. And some were overhit, because I don't think many of my class went on to military schools. I don't think many of my class went into the military. I don't think many of my class went into social work or teaching. I don't think many of my class are leading charges to prevent climate change or to help the homeless or anything like that. I think my class learned that towing the company line, you're going to get chumped. So you have to develop a singular path. And I think at this point, is because of all the stuff that happened, I think our generation is probably ill prepared to handle anything, because we were taught individuality. And you see that in the policy, right? Individualized education for children. Everybody's got an individualized plan. And you have an individualized and all that individualism does not create unity, you know? So it's kind of a weird thing that our media impacts us in so many different ways. How we get raised, what we purchase, why we don't purchase. You know, the value of anything is impacted by how media plays it. And so in 57, the sweet smell of success, that's dark. J.J. Hunsinger is building and crashing. And Tony Curtis is his yes man, doing anything because he wants to get that job that J.J. has. But it all goes sideways, man. It all goes sideways. It's messed up. It's totally messed up. You gotta go see it facing the crowd. A Witness for the Prosecution. 12 Angry Men. These movies, man, my God. And The Bridge Over the River Kwai to top it off. I was so surprised that 1957 was about that, you know. And there's some action in there too. Throne of Blood. Shoot. Paths of Glory. And you get some other scary stuff in there too. I mean, The Seventh Seal? Shoot. The Night of Cabiria. Yeah, I tell you, it's a Federico Fellini film. It's intense. It is not for the faint of heart. And there's a moment of trauma in this movie toward the end that just crushed me. So it's tough. It is it's a tough movie. Let's look at the see if I can get you. Yeah, let's look at the trailer. IMDb, man, I love it.
Ragazzi, mambo numero 26! Mambo!
And she's not young. They say wayfish, prostitute, but she's definitely middle-aged. She's not young. That's a Federico Fellini, man. Wow. Ooh. All right, so that's IMDb, Federico Fellini. So, yeah, you know, that's some good shit. That's some good film. 1957 is always interesting because I never really looked to see. I knew like on my birthday, I have LeBron James and Tiger Woods, December 30th, right? So I feel like, yeah, boy. But, you know, my mother-in-law has Michael Jeffrey Jackson Jordan on her, yeah, so guess who wins that, right? Yeah, there's that. So anyway, 12 Angry Men. Let's see if we get a clip from that. Oh, this is a classic one. This is the shit.
You've listened to a long and complex case, murder in the first degree. A premeditated murder is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You're faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I happen to have tickets to that ball game tonight. Yanks and Cleveland. I tell you, we were lucky to get a murder case.
Even when it's an open and short case like this one, I mean, Jeffy hears so much talk about nothing.
I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go.
He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it, and so do you.
Was Bonnie not guilty?
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
Those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they're wrong.
Couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
But what does it mean?
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
I mean, they're born liars.
Only an ignorant man can believe that.
We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs.
Who tells you that you have the right to play like this with a man's life?
You can't send someone off to die on evidence like that.
He didn't change his vote. I did.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm convinced.
I'm getting
Not
chills.
guilty.
You
Lizzie
lousy
in the hearts. That
It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it? I mean, it's possible.
Sound like you met my brother.
you sound like you met my brother-in-law. See, check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Wait, let me get off of that. Check it out. 12 Angry Men, done in one, or not one take, done in very few takes. If you watch this movie, that camera moves. The actors don't. You know, the camera will move as they come to the jury table and then sit at the chairs in the back. The camera moves. They don't move. It's you gotta go see that. You gotta go see that. That these guys act their asses off in this. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. So, Sidney Lumet, goes without saying, or maybe I should say it. Sidney Lumet, great director. These people in it, great director. I did see the remake. It tried to capture, but it can't. Because we know the outcome, that's one. And two, we know they're acting. I couldn't draw myself into it, you know? I mean, like, how can one draw yourself into that movie? The first time you see it, it blows your socks off. The second time, you kind of marvel at the acting. And the third time you see it, it's you kind of play with it, with the originals. And I always felt like because of the you couldn't really remake this because I just didn't buy the interpretations of the people. These guys are honest. They're old. They're young. They're bringing their baggage, and these guys act so well because the baggage they bring, the baggage Lee J. Cobb and all these actors bring, Ed Begley Sr. They bring this stuff. It's like they're wearing the coat. You know, like when I was in acting class, you have to create the throne. They can't give you a chair throne prop. You have to create it as you own the space. These guys do that. They do it. They crush it. So anyway, it's kind of interesting. 12 Angry Men. So anyway, that's 1957. 1957. And remember the question of the day, the trivia question. This woman in history is subject of a biography called Don't Ride the Bus on Monday. Don't Ride the Bus on Monday. So who could that be? Who could that be? So anyway, that's the movies that I like and I thought I'd share on my Tuesday stream. Oh, excuse me. Belching here. So now, game-wise, now, oh God, what do we got going on here? Let me just get rid of that. That's just crazy. No, that's ugly too. Let's take this and let's blank that and let's transition to this. All right. So that was probably ugly. I'm gonna get rid of that stream. That was just live. So as you look at my studio, I dare I say it, you'll notice the Grateful Dead image in one corner, and we'll notice a album cover in the middle, and we'll notice the new logo. There it is. That's an '89 Volvo with lasers. Check that. So that's the new logo. That's going to be in merch pretty soon. I'm deciding how to do it and who to do it with. It's designed by humans or through the Twitch merch. But I'm sort of digging designs by humans, personally. I saw that on a couple of folks I've been following. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't know which one to do, and I've been looking at different streamers, who's doing what. I went on Discord and been looking and checking. Now, for anybody who knows the answer to this, if you could drop a comment or a question, or not a question, drop a comment or send me some info. And the question is, how do you use Discord? What do I want to do with it? I see it, I know the functionality, I get it. I don't know what more I want vis-a-vis my Twitch platform. So I know everybody has Discord attached and they do things on Discord. I have no clue. I don't know why I want two sets of, and I only got 2 followers now because I'm going for views. Views of the video, because ultimately that I'm going to probably